Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Virgo, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of July. I hope you're well. Using the Lost Forest Tarot for you today. So, I don't think I have anything else to tell you. No, I don't. Let's just get straight on with this. Could I have 3 cards for Virgo, please? Oh, goodness. We have the Hanged Man and the 4 of Wands in your recent past. I have current energy, please. Thank you. We have the 10 of Swords in your present. And what's coming towards Virgo, please? Goodness. Wow. What a combination. You've got Justice and the 6 of Wands. At the bottom of the deck, we have the 4 of Pentacles, followed by the Devil, which is very interesting energy. The Devil is a card of Capricorn, but I don't feel like that applies here. 4 of Pentacles is often about the need to release something. I do feel like that release, we're speaking about a process that's already begun, but it feels like it's coming to a peak, to a culmination. Now, the interesting thing is that most of you have already made major changes in your life, which one would assume would be a completion of sorts. You know, you've let go of the things that you needed to, and now you're, off on a new adventure. But it seems like there's a bit of residue possibly around you. And this month is all about digging that out and letting it go so you can fully embrace and commit to the changes that you've already wrought and that you intend to bring into your life moving forward. Let's put that to the side for a moment, get some clarifiers. We're going to go with the Wild Unknown to clarify. So I'll just give these a little shuffle. And why is the Hanged Man 4 of Wands here for Virgo, please? Thank you. We have the Page of Cups. Oh goodness, we have the Chariot, the Lovers and the 4 of Swords. Yeah, I think I see where this is going. There's 2 aces have flown out to the side there. Ace of Wands and Ace of Cups. I'm going to put them back in because they didn't jump out and I like them to jump. But it's interesting that they've shown their face and at all. Tell me about the 10 of Swords, please. Whoa. We have Strength, card of Leo. It's happened again. There's a pure glut of cards coming out for you. We have the Emperor, but it came out in reverse. We have the Hermit and we have the 10 of Pentacles. I think I can definitely see where this is going. Right, let's have a look and see why Justice and the 6 of Wands are here. 4 of Wands. And the 4 of Pentacles. Ooh, that's interesting. Let me have one more for that, please. The High Priestess. Now, this is interesting. The 4 of Pentacles, when it dropped on the floor, was in the upright, but I picked it up without looking at it and I put it down. And I put it down in the reverse. And I think that that's important. 6 of Wands again at the bottom of the deck here. Page of Pentacles underneath it. Page of Swords underneath that. There are big changes going on with you at the moment, Virgo. And I think that the changes that you have brought in for yourself are actually just the start of that, right? It's not all that it is. Now, I understand that might be a bit overwhelming because for a lot of you, the changes that you've brought in for yourself are sort of pushing you out of your comfort zone anyway. And so, I hate to deliver the message that there is more coming in, but it feels like it's much more comfortable for you. Possibly because what you've done in bringing in the changes is shifted your mindset. There's a bit of reprogramming of you, Virgo, that's gone on with this. And so your acceptance of new things coming in, your acceptance of that continual shifting has been enhanced in the process. So let's have a look here this Hanged Man and Four of Wands. I think it's interesting that the Four of Wands appears twice in your reading here, because that is all about foundation, right? All of the cards are foundational cards. All of the cards numbered 4 are foundational cards. And specifically with the Four of Wands, we're looking at the creation of a new foundation, you know. So with the Hanged Man here, it can speak to inaction. And it's probably worth mentioning that there. I'm going to have to shut this window. Okay, people. Yes, it can, because it's the most passive card in the deck, right? It can speak to complete inactivity. But on an energetic level, it feels like a shift in your perception of what home is. You know, the Four of Wands is a card that speaks to me of home, not just of your four walls, not really of your four walls, to be honest, but the places that make you feel warm and snug inside, and that might be your four walls, right? But also the people that are involved in it. There's been a change in perspective of what home means to you, like maybe what your community means to you, around you. You know, perhaps you've realised that you live too far away from them and you want to get a bit closer. You know, perhaps you've realised that actually you don't have what was a feeling of home before anymore where you are, and now it's time to shift, it's time to relocate. You know, it's an energy that speaks of leaving some stuff behind, leaving some people behind, finding new people, embracing new people, even going back to embracing old people, because there was somewhat of a schism that occurred for you probably last year, really, I would think, where you were kind of pulled away, you know, dealing with your own grief, dealing with your own issues, the things that were coming up to the surface. You know, we saw lots of loss for Virgo last year. It separated you away from the things and the people that were important, necessarily so, while you processed what was going on with you. And I think, you know, the Hanged Man card speaks of wisdom and enlightenment, and it certainly seems that you are getting a more complete picture of what you need to have joy and celebration in your life. You know, there's actually although this is a passive card and it speaks of inaction, it's almost like the mental work that happens beforehand, the enlightenment, you know, and the wisdom and all that, realizing what you need to move forwards. Remember, this is in your recent past, so this speaks to what you have already been doing. We've got the Page of Cups, the Chariot, the Lovers, and the Four of Swords. And in typical, you know, Virgo fashion, this is incredibly understated, but very powerful. The Page of Cups is very much a card of acceptance. Can I even get the word out there? Acceptance to me. You know, you've dealt with a lot. And I think that the last year was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, because there was a lot going on before that for you. But it's almost like well, it isn't. You broke through and out the other side, and we've got the Page of Cups here. Oh, I'm getting comfy. You've got the Page of Cups here, but let us not forget that you also had the Page of Swords and the Page of Pentacles showing up on the shadow cards at the bottom of the deck, underneath the Six of Wands. All of these speak of kind of like entry level on a new cycle, right? So they speak of new starts in some way or another. So with the Page of Cups, we've got acceptance, we've got compassion, we've got forgiveness. We're kind of coming in and knowing that there's lots for us to learn moving forwards. We've already accrued some wisdom, but there is more for us to learn as we get to know ourselves on this level, you know, as who we are now rather than who we were before. With the Page of Swords, it's about that mental expansion. You know, I see the Ace of Swords actually as the way that you process the world, because ultimately everything has to go through your brain. you filter all the sensory input that comes in, and you build a picture of the world off the back of it. So that mind, as much as I would like for us to use it a little less and use the heart a little more, is important in structuring your reality. The Page of Pentacles is about understanding the value of something, but also, committing yourself to a new path. Both the Page of Pentacles and the Page of Swords are cards of the student, realizing that we don't know it all and there is plenty that is still to be learned. And being open and accepting of that fact, which is interesting because it's something that adults really, really struggle with, is being a beginner. You get to a certain age and it's kind of like, oh, I'm too old to start something new, and I feel like you've kicked that mindset into the dirt. You're like, no, I am a willing and open student, and there is so much I want to learn. There's so much about myself I want to learn, We have the Chariot and the Lovers card here, and I love this for you because both of those cards speak very strongly of balance. Okay? There's a symmetry in both of these cards. Even in the Chariot, which is not its usual depiction. We usually have the Charioteer and in the Chariot and then a Sphinx either side, and it speaks to, duality consciousness and all that sort of thing. I love the Chariot because it's kind of like the Charioteer and the Sphinxes all in one. Love the depiction of it. And so we've got determination, we've got stamina, we've got goal setting and the will to achieve it. It's a very willful card. It speaks about victory and success as well. And the Lovers card, she has that, the angel at the top and the two people either side. There's a beautiful symmetry in that card too. But what's interesting for me is that both of those cards, whilst speaking of balance, also manage to move away from a standard idea of symmetry, right? So it's like you've taken these concepts and you've Virgoized them in some way. You've made them properly about you in a way that you can relate to, the way that you like to work with things. And the way that you like to work is quietly. You really like your peace. And so somehow you manage to be determined. You manage to set these goals for yourself. You're creating a plan for your life. And it may not be, a 5-year plan for global domination or something like that, right? But what it is an innate knowing of the kind of experiences that you want to fill your life with. The Hanged Man here talks about the beauty of perspective, right? And of possibly of a perspective shift, but I feel like that's already happened. Well, it has, it's in the recent past, right? But that perception shift happened months ago. What you're gaining now is all of the insight and all of the wisdom that came from that perspective shift. So the value of particular things in your life, and now you are in a place to welcome more of that in. You want that, you're going to bring it in. So it may not be, I'm going to go traveling and I'm going to do this and that and the other, right? Maybe none of those things, but what it is I want solid, beautiful connections in my life. I want to experience moments of pure joy. I want to be entirely present, and I want to do it in a peaceful way. Like, I don't want to have to overanalyze, be, very self-critical. I don't want any of that. I want to live right here in the moment. And I want to construct this future for myself. The Lover's card is a card of conscious co-creation. It is aligning with, that's the word. There's an alignment here. Because so often what the issue has been with you as a Virgo is that tendency towards overthinking, that tendency to being actually hypercritical of yourself and your motivations and the way that you execute things, huge issues with self-worth, massive issues with self-worth. And the cumulative effect of all of that is to pull you away from your intuition, from your higher self, from that deep, peaceful inner wisdom that is open to you if you choose to follow it. Well, I feel like you are choosing to follow it now, Virgo. Because we don't have 9 swords there. We have 4. We have a peace. We have a concentration on healing. Okay? Rather than reeling, which is what the whole of 2020 was about for you, was reeling. There's something very much more conscious and very much more present about where you are now. It's a delightful thing to see. Now, some of you may have shuddered when you saw the Ten of Swords appear here in your present, but actually I think it's an incredibly good thing. I think it's an incredibly good sign. The Ten of Swords is a painful card. It's a very challenging card in a lot of ways. You know, it can talk about humiliation, it can talk about betrayal, it can talk about incredible loss, it can talk about that feeling, you know, we usually see in the Rider-Waite, where there's a man with 10 swords in his back and he's laying for dead. It's like, how fucking much does one person have to take? How much does one person have to deal with? You know, it's a nod to that energy, but because it's a 10, it's indicating completion. It is saying, like, this period of your life, the lessons that were contained therein are now complete for you. You know, I'm just reminded of, like, so I'm not an astrologer, right? I'm just a kind of, I don't know, I'm just interested in it, right? So I read a lot. But I posted something on Instagram maybe about a month ago, and somebody commented and said, like, have you got Saturn and Pluto trampling up and down your ascendant at the moment? And I was like, holy shit, is it that obvious? Like, yes, I absolutely have. And she said, I had the same thing going on with my Virgo moon last year. I don't envy you at all. And, like, I would have to go up and look it up and verify it. But maybe that Saturn Pluto thing that's happening with me now was something that was going on with Virgo last year, in which case it is really about hauling up those old feelings, right? So that you can release them, so that you can process them, let them go. And with the Pluto element, you know, really transform who you are, become someone else. Not in a bad way, you know, I'm not asking you to, I'm not suggesting that, you know, you go from, that you change fundamentally who you are. But Pluto is all about the destruction of the things that no longer serve, right? So we've spoken before about how there was, the Virgo experience last year was characterized by loss and you know, a very specific loss in lots of cases. But it didn't stop there, because it was pulling upon older experiences, you know, like, and we're definitely talking towards the back end of last year and the beginning of this year. It was dredging other things up, you know, it was almost like the dam broke, and yeah, there was the initial torrent of water, but as that slowed down, you were able to examine what was lying in the silt, you know, whatever the water had brought with it. And it was quite likely things that you hadn't looked at in a very long time. You're like, holy shit, that's still there. I hadn't forgotten about it, but I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about it. I thought I'd dealt with it. I thought it was over. I thought it was done. And there it was. It was back again. But because of the, you know, somewhat baptism of fire into the whole exercise of, you know, healing and that sort of thing, you're like, well, fuck, I might as well fucking heal you too, since you're here, you know. There was a process that you were following that was more easily accessible to you than it was before. And because the dam had already broke, there was no point in trying to stuff everything back in where it was. It's like, well, it is what it is. So have a look at it. Let me see how I can deal with it. But it really does indicate completion, Virgo. This period of your life truly is over. And there are one or two things left to deal with. And from the look of the cards that are on the table here, like, this really is just the last push, Virgo. And I don't think it hurts quite in the same way as it did before. You know, I think that you've found a level of peace, you found your balance, you found your equilibrium. And so it's like, oh, it's just another thing. Oh, I'll deal with this and then I'll move on. You know, like the cards that we've got underneath here. We've got Strength. We've got the Emperor reversed. We've got, what was that? The Hermit. There you are. And we've got the Ten of Pentacles. Now, the Strength card is obvious, and it's actually a very natural companion to this card here, because the Strength card for me is all about personal growth. It's about spiritual growth, right? It's about an empowerment that comes through owning yourself and your own experiences, understanding the wisdom that has come to you through those experiences, and then finding your peace with them, right? So it's like I said, very natural companion. The interesting thing is this Emperor in reverse. Now, this is a card of Aries, and it's not a card I have to confess that I'm particularly fond of. I don't know if it's because it's got patriarchal overtones or what, you know. It is the archetypal father, but it speaks about control. It speaks about, you know, planning and strategy and all that sort of thing, you know. But I don't know if it's from my own personal experiences, but certainly when we start to look at emperor-like control over things, it almost immediately kind of bridges over into control issues. Okay? So where we choose to try and control our environment rather than look within, because, you know, it's wherever there's an excess in one place, it's indicative of a lack in somewhere else, you know. And so when somebody is trying to control the circumstances outside of themselves, it's because they feel like they've lost control in here, you know, and everything's got to be kept on a really short leash, because otherwise chaos will ensue, and I can't deal with that, you know. Now, there are ways in which you have attempted to control things, Virgo. I don't think that's true. I think what it's talking about is the wish that you could have controlled things. You know, what we've got here is a feeling of complete disempowerment, because everything that happened to you, not just last year, but in you know, in the time before that, put you in a place of disempowerment. Now, the corollary of that may be that you had control issues somewhere along the line. That's possible. But I think that, you know, as is very true to your nature, what once might have been an external expression of who you are, you know, your energy may have gone into that external expression. What we've got now is you heading down into your roots, you know. I love the fact that when you look at a tree, the root system is, as a general rule of thumb, the same size as the tree, just inverted and under the ground. That looks like it's gone on here. Like, you've rooted yourself, you've grounded yourself, you've released any need to control a situation, because now you are in touch with all the deepest parts of yourself. You know, it's how you've grown. And when we combine it with the Hermit and the Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Pentacles is often given to be material security, right? But I really hate that as just because it seems really flat. It lacks any depth. I mean, if you're in a position of being, you know, quite, of things being materially scarce, then you probably wouldn't feel like that. But, you know, I think there's so much more going on there. And so here it's a commitment to self. You are likely very aware now of the ways in which you have avoided your own basic needs. Right? You've absolutely made a point of not meeting those for whatever reason. Right? But you see that now. You understand that now. And quite possibly this is, coming from what was in the silt after the initial, explosion of water through your life. Huge emotion. What's been left there. You're kind of like I said, I thought I dealt with that, but I hadn't. It's still there. It's still under the surface. Well, shit. Well, it's like the 1,001 little ways that you didn't take care of yourself in the past, where you didn't put your needs ahead of somebody else's, where you didn't attend to your own emotional well-being first. You gave, or maybe it was because you were hypercritical of what it was that you were doing for yourself. That inner peace was something that was lost to you, and you didn't even realize that it was something that was available to you because of the way that things had gone. Like, I see you committing to your inner space here, Virgo, strongly, very, very strongly. And I do feel like all of your external actions now are holding the internal space as the guide, which is exactly as it should be. I saw a comment on one of the Virgo readings a couple of weeks ago, and somebody said, "I'm so glad that you let us keep our cave." And it actually made me really sad, because not the comment, but the feeling behind it, because the cave is your sanctuary. It should be a place of peace. It should be a place of calm. And whenever things feel like they're a bit much there, it is not only okay, but it's right for you to go back to your cave, for you to sift out, how you feel about something, process, do all of those things. Like it's a little magic place for you, Virgo. The only thing that I don't want to see a Virgo do is take up permanent residence in the cave. Never leave the cave, because actually it's really nice and peaceful in here, and it's fucking chaotic and loud out there. Yeah, it is, especially compared to your inner place. But nevertheless, that's where the lessons are. That's where the experiences are. That's where the relationships and the connections are. It made me sad, because it implied to me from there that other people had told Virgos that they didn't get to keep their cave. Like they had to, come out and stay out permanently. Sounds horrific. I wouldn't want that for you. Whenever you need to recharge, whenever you need to gain perspective specifically, your inner place is where you will find that. And committing to that seriously, knowing how deep your roots run, and they do. It's a grounding exercise for you. And anyone who would seek to deprive you of that would have me kind of side-eyeing them pretty hard. Anyway, when we come to July, we have Justice and we have the Six of Wands. Now, this card on its own, if we'll go for those flat 3D interpretations that I don't like very much, right? If you have any kind of legal proceedings ongoing at the moment, or, contracts to sign, things like that, right? The Justice card in the upright suggests that you will have your victory, you will have your justice, right? Things will very much go in your favor. That message is extrapolated up to, an order of magnitude when it's here with the Six of Wands. Like, not only will justice be done, but justice will be seen to be done, because this is a Leo card, right? So it's all about the visual aspect of success. But if you don't have anything like that going on, if there are no contracts, if there are no legal proceedings, anything of that sort of thing, then what we're talking about is balance, is harmony, but is also an element of karmic fulfillment, you know. It feels like you have passed. Now, I really despise the idea of karmic tests, or, you know, the universe setting bear traps for you to see if you're going to get through it or not. I've said before, I prefer the idea of karmic lessons as being kind of like a syllabus of stuff that you need to learn this time round. But my friend describes it as consequences, right? The consequences of your action, and it's kind of value neutral in and of itself. But when you pair it up here with the Six of Wands, it becomes very positive ramifications of your actions, of the way that you have conducted yourself. And now, it's kind of necessarily vague because it will be different for each of you. Like I said, for some of you, it may be those legal contracts, it may be those proceedings going in your favour. For others of you, it may be the ability to just function nicely, you know, just potter about. My sister's a Virgo, she loves to potter. It's just her thing. She potters in silence as well. And I like that. Like, even as a Leo, I quite like pottering in silence too. But like, she's got it down to an art form. It feels so much bigger than just saying, oh yeah, July is going to be really good. Right, it's going to be ace. You're going to get all the things you want. It's not about that. It seems like there's such a fundamental mindset shift for you, Virgo. And it's all revolving around this sense of peace and sense of home too, you know. I mean, let's throw this one in here because we've got the Four of Wands there too, right? If you're doing anything to do with a house move, like, July is going to see that moving and getting to a point where it feels like everything's kind of working, right? You know, if you're moving house, buying a house, selling a house, whatever, right? That's what those cards mean. But we're back to this notion of home here. It's like, you know how to get the balance just fucking right, Virgo. And it might not just be for you, it may well be for you and yours. Those people around you who, you know, depend on you, who are important to you. For whom you are important too. It feels like a real what's the word I'm after? Establishing's wrong. That's not the word that I want, but it's close enough. Like, establishing not only what was the enlightenment and the wisdom as it refers to your home environment, right? But passive, inactive, not yet happening, but you seeing it, you understanding it, and you resolving and committing to make your life be more about that than anything else. To an active establishment of those principles actually being in your life now, you know. The Justice card, unlike others, she's not sat on, you know, some sort of big, you know, throne overseeing something. She is in the active exercise of dispensing judgment there. The Six of Wands is all about movement. It is a 6 for a start, so that's always about moving away from, you know, whatever. And in this case, it's moving away from conflict, which is the 5 of Wands. But also, with it being Wands, it's about experiencing, it's about doing, you know. The whole fire sign suit is, or fire element is about activity and movement and doing and experiencing. This is about you bringing wholesale, front and centre, all of that wisdom that you accrued in the passive phase, and now applying it, moving forwards. And the interesting thing is, we've got the Four of Pentacles here, but it's shown up in the reverse. You can see it there. So we have a bringing in, an actively bringing in of one thing, right, with the Four of Wands, and we have an active release with the Four of Pentacles. Now the Four of Pentacles has shown up twice for you, and the Four of Wands has shown up twice for you, and I like this. It's like it feels like a series of small adjustments which come together to make something very, very profound, a very profound shift in the way that you are literally experiencing your life. You know, like I said, it could well be that you are rewriting what reality means to you, how you experience reality. And we have the High Priestess. Now, she is also a card of wisdom and enlightenment. And like the Hangman, she is also a card of passivity. But she's not as passive as the Hanged Man. Depicted as this big Siberian tiger. She's currently static. She's currently musing with her crystal ball and her connection to her intuition and her internal space. But if she needed to, she could get up and be a very powerful adversary or ally even, you know. And cats sit still for quite a long time, but when they move, they can really fucking shift. And so it feels like a preservation of energy for you, right? Intuitively working your way through what requires your input, what doesn't, what requires you to, you know, pour your energy into something, commit to something, and what does not. But it's peaceful too. I'm getting very little in the way of overthinking, very little in the way of anxieties about things. If I bring you back to the shadow cards here, I think that you know that there are a last few things that need to pop out, right? And you may be dealing with them right now, actually. They're fundamental fears that perhaps grew in size and shape because they were essentially ignored by you, by your conscious mind for quite a long time. But like I said, your conscious mind is kicking through the silt of what, you know, the subconscious dam that broke. And it's going, all right, okay. And I feel you approaching these things without fear, Virgo. There's no fear in this reading anywhere. There is peace. Like I said, it's incredibly profound, but incredibly understated too. This is not a situation that you're making a great fanfare about, but it is, the difference is being seen by other people, right? The Six of Wands is always has that visibility aspect to it. It's kind of a month for tidying up, Virgo. Letting go of the last few things. Of fully committing to the path that you find yourself on now. And creating a new legacy, Virgo. Which is extraordinary because it would be so easy for you to continue with the script. You know, an old script. But it feels like you're tossing it all out of the way. I love it. Right. I'm going to go over to Vimeo now. If this has resonated with you, there is a link in the description box. You can follow that over there. And I would love to see you. If not, no problem at all. I will see you next time. I actually feel incredibly peaceful. I can't tell you how peaceful I feel. A little bit spaced out, actually, almost. Reading this. It's quite comforting. Your energy is quite comforting at this point. And if that's come from you knowing that you can retreat to your cave whenever you need to, then all's the better, right? Virgo, know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.